Hey, internets. It's Jake. What a wrong time to swallow. Good Lord. Hey, internets. It's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Dawnbringers, Season 5, Rime of the Frostmaiden. And this is Episode 4, and this is the Adamantine Fortress, Part 3. In our arc, discovering where Fig has been after he teleported away and Gerithan, the Githzerai, teleported in. Speaking of Gerithan, Zachary, who normally plays Gerithan and in this arc is playing Jin, will not be with us tonight. But hopefully will be able to join us for at least one or two more sessions in the new year, because this is our last episode of 2020. There's only 2 weeks left in the year, which means that the way space time seems to be working, that could be 4 months. We'll see how the rest of 2020 shakes out, but our plan is to take a holiday break after this game and return to you in the first week of January of 2021. Once again, I would like to shout from the rooftops my thanks and appreciation for my good friend and streaming partner Dwight, who is pushing the buttons behind the scenes for us tonight, as my internet service provider is once again rolling natural ones. Or maybe it's me rolling the natural ones. I don't know. But thank you, Dwight, once again for helping us out. We greatly appreciate it so that we can continue with this game. A great way to thank Dwight, if you haven't already done so, is to head on over to Big Bearded Nerd 21 on Twitch and give him a follow. Dwight's got a lot of great content over there. All of our non-D&D role-playing content. He likes to paint tiny things as his miniature painting stream. And we're actually going to be running a Mexpendables Christmas game on Saturday that I will be playing in along with some of our other friends. And I'm sure Dwight has a lot of great stuff planned for us for that. So you'll want to check that out. A couple of quick announcements, and then we'll get right into our adventure. As per usual, down on the lower half of, or not half, but the very bottom of the screen, you'll see several icons for our various partners and sponsors. We are, as always, happy to be partnered with Jasper's Game Day, an incredible organization dedicated to raising awareness, education, and ultimately the elimination of suicide through tabletop gaming. You can follow the link that has appeared in the chat there or below the stream. There's also a panel that will take you right to their donation page if you want to become a direct supporter of Jasper's Game Day. Another way that you can support Jasper's and get a little something for yourself is through Initiative Coffee Company's Help Action, whom we have partnered with. You can get yourself some coffee. We have provided, let me back up here. I got distracted because apparently I've done something already to get clipped and we haven't even started yet. So I'll have to check that out later. Initiative Coffee Company, Metadare Roast is the coffee that we have partnered with them for every 12-ounce bag of that coffee that you purchase. $3 goes to benefit Jasper's Game Day. Christmas is right around the corner, and if you're doing some last-minute shopping, be sure to check out Talon and Claw. If you type !MTD Claw in the chat, that'll bring up a link to the Talon and Claw Etsy shop where you can get your dice vaults, your hero vaults, some rolling trays. There's some coasters with the different classes, which I believe are, I can't remember his name now. Xero, Xero is the artist, I believe, who did the class graphics for those coasters. So check that stuff out. Fill your cart with all kinds of goodies for yourself and your friends, and use code MTDClaw when you check out to get 10% off and help support the channel. Big shout out to D&D Beyond, as always, for granting us insider access to help run the streams, run the various D&D games. It allows me to access Zach's character sheet so that I can have see all of his stats and know how dangerously close to killing him I am, much like I did with Jeremy's last week when he wasn't able to join us. Um, so let's see. Domain dice. Domain dice. If you look up above Dan and V, you will see that the Dawnbringers have 155. Now we have to adjust that number. We know it's around that. Um, we didn't have that the last couple weeks, but there's well over 150 domain dice at your disposal. But that is our way of letting you, the viewer, have an influence on the game. For every $5 tip, every 500 bits you cheer, every subscription, resubscription, all that good stuff earns domain dice for the players so that they can re-roll their dice, make me re-roll, all the way up to super criticals, which are double max damage hits. Okay, that's all of that kind of stuff. We've got one last thing that we want to talk to you about, and this is the most important thing before we sit around and have some fun rolling dice and telling the stories. We understand that this year coming to a close is one of the craziest years many of us have experienced. Um, but regardless of that, outside of this year and the craziness, sometimes things can just be tough. And we want you to know that no matter where you're at, no matter how you're feeling, and whether or not you believe it, you matter. Your presence here on this planet makes a difference. And you need to know that. So now you're going to be asking yourself, well, what do I do? How do I reach out to somebody? I don't know who to call. I don't know who to talk to. Um, and That's why we are providing some resources for you as a part of our effort to help to destigmatize mental health. I'm a little frazzled talking about that. I actually just recently had somebody reach out to me because they didn't know where to turn. And I'm very open about my own struggles with anxiety and depression. And as an ongoing effort to destigmatize discussions around mental health, I'm glad he felt comfortable to come to me, and just looking for where do I go. I'm not a counselor. I'm don't reach out to me for help. I'm not a professional. But by typing !help as Jeremy has already done in the chat, you can come here anytime, day or night, and there are numerous resources available to you there. There are phone numbers, text numbers. There's a link you can click that will take you to a list of resources for whatever country in the world you are in so that you can find the help you need. And that's what I've done with my friend is I'm telling him who he can contact to get on the right path to get the help that he needs. And that's what those are for. I mean, I know they're called the National Suicide Lifeline, but if you just need help, you need somebody to talk to, call that number, text the number. They're trained professionals. They're waiting for your call. They want to help you, and we want you to get that help. So please do not hesitate to reach out and call one of those numbers. Do whatever you got to do to get the help that you need because you are not a critical failure. All right. It is time for us to play some Dungeons and Dragons. So, as I said at the beginning, we are on session 3 of the Adamantine Fortress arc. This is an arc exploring where Fig was after their adventures during their adventures in the Nightfang Spire while they were tracking down the vampire Gulthias. Fig began having some mysterious visions, and just one day, a portal appeared, Fig disappeared, and Gerithan appeared in Fig's place. And Gerithan has been traveling with the Dawnbringers ever since, while they are unaware of their friend Fig and where he has gone. So, as M, Fig's player, has returned from real world adventures, That is what we are doing now, as we are taking the time. All of the Dawnbringers are playing as different characters, clockwork entities within this Underdark realm, where they have found Fig and have received internal instructions to protect Fig. And they have begun a series of challenges, already completing the tests or trials of Archimedes. They have begun their trials of Copernicus, as they have moved within the interior of the Adamantine fortress and have found what is essentially a sort of clockwork maze. And they just completed the first level of that, have climbed up a series of very large gears to another level. And once again, they find themselves standing on a very large gear that is about 30 feet in diameter. Along with them, it's important to note that there is, in fact, a clockwork owl bear that has become the companion of Bark, Ted's clockwork druid. As you are all standing here, you see that to the west, there is a 10-foot wide corridor, and there's another one of these clockwork doors. You climbed up this chamber, which Phalos had sort of investigated it while the others were finishing up exploring these antechambers they had unlocked. And I don't recall which one of you, I think it might have been Fig and Eve, but correct me if I'm wrong. Two of you opened a chest, a clockwork chest, and discovered a clockwork key that you now have. Fig has also previously discovered or possesses, I think it was Eve that discovered, the miniature replica of Fig. They also found a box of, I think we said they were Kiswid's clockwork miniatures. So they all have miniature clockwork monsters in their possession. Jeremy, you weren't here for that. So you need to think of, if Asclepios would have taken one of these, any D&D monster in clockwork miniature form, you have it in your possession. So just think on that. They also, you all do remember you encountered some very dangerous clockwork mechanisms that were like hour and minute hands that were swinging blades. But you made your way through all of that up into this tower of cogs. As you were all standing here and looking at this clockwork door, this is the kind that has the mechanisms where you can see the dial-like thing that you can put your hand in and will rotate, activating the clockworks and open. As you all clamber up, there's been a fair amount. In fact, why don't you all roll me a stealth check just to see how noisy you are clambering up. And I'm going to go ahead and use the D&D Beyond rollers for Zach's character.
You said stealth?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a 24 for Eve.
That's a 26 for Jin. Even Jin are clambering up, barely making a sound.
14 for Bark. I guess you want one from the...
Yeah, I'll need one for your owl bear as well. Fig, how'd you do?
Got a 9.
Okay. And Asclepios?
With disadvantage because of the armor, I got a 17.
All right. And Phalos?
21.
So
11 for the owlbear.
Enough of you did well enough that you're making a small amount of noise. There's a bit of scraping of metal on metal, an occasional sound of a foot slipping and landing kind of hard on a metal grate, and there's kind of a boom, boom, boom through this area, but nothing too incredibly loud. There's probably one point, Fig, where you step on a portion of the gear and you don't notice that there is a collection of loose, very small gears and bearings. And when you step on it, you start to slip. And Jin, who had the highest stealth check, just as you instinctively reach out to put your hand against the metal wall of this chamber, Jin grabs you and stops your wrist millimeters from touching the wall, knowing that it would have made a loud, clamorous sound. And Jin just looks at you and goes, just shakes his head back and forth. So overall, you are able to make it up this cog without making too much noise. As the last of you, the last sound you hear is this sort of metallic rustling, soft rustling sound of all of the fine feathers on the wings of the owl bear as it settles into position. You hear from somewhere up above, 30, 40, 60 feet, you're not sure. You hear Jin looks over at all of you and just goes, "What are the rest of you doing?"
Were we able to identify the sound in any way?
You can go ahead and make me a perception check.
Not too shabby at this. That's 23.
You recognize that despite the echoing sound in the chamber, it sounds like a multitude of metallic legs working in a mechanical cycle that indicates they're probably attached to a single entity. You suddenly hear this sound that's sort of like a, it sounds like a wire cable being unwound very quickly. And then you hear as Jin is lifted off his feet, and there's a loud clang as you all follow looking up, and you see that Jin has been nabbed by a magnet hanging on a cable. What would you like to do?
Shoot at the cable.
Yeah, can we see the origin of the cable, or is
Yeah.
it out of sight?
What is everybody's dark vision capabilities?
60 feet.
If I was gonna say, does anybody have greater dark vision?
Mm-mm.
You see the cable disappear into darkness. If you do want to take a shot at the cable, go ahead.
Do we still have sight on Jin, or has he been pulled into
Yeah,
the
Jin
dark
at
now
this
as well?
point is literally has just been snagged by this this magnet and is about maybe 10 feet up off the cog.
Yeah, then Eve's gonna try and shoot at it with her longbow.
Would I be able to try and use Thorn Whip to grab him?
You can certainly try. So, Eve, you said you're going to shoot at the cable.
Yes.
Go ahead and take your shot. What are you shooting with?
My longbow.
Okay.
And
Yeah, go ahead and take the shot.
It's gonna be a 25.
Your arrow, very quickly you draw an arrow and you see a quick spray of sparks as the arrow hits this braided wire cable, and you see a few strands of this braided wire just kind of go boom, boom, boom. And but the cable itself is much thicker than that. It looks like it'd probably take several shots to break this enough to have any kind of an impact.
Well, we can whittle away at this, or if someone has something stronger, it might be worth trying there.
All right, Jake, a sort of a silver and iron rod will articulate up out of Phalos's back, almost like a shoulder cannon, and it'll crackle, gather up electricity, and I'm going to fire a lightning bolt off of my wand of lightning bolts up along the cable, just sort of up into the dark. to try and hit the cable and whatever generated it.
Okay, what's the range?
It's a 100-foot line, I believe.
Okay. Is that a saving throw then?
Yeah, DC 15 dexterity.
All right, I just gotta let's see. Where did it go? Okay. That is not what I wanted. Well, the cable is clearly going to fail a dexterity save. Oh, I forgot to grab my dice. So there we go. Let's see. That's a 13 on the die, which is a 16. Is that a save or fail?
Yeah, it's DC 15 off the wand. So that's
Okay.
pass.
Half on save.
Yep. So it's 30 or 15 on a pass.
Okay. As your electricity arcs up, and it actually illuminates the top of this chamber much more than you would have expected, because the lightning has struck the cable and is just riding up this cable further up. And so you see for a moment this, and in the flashes of lightning, you see 8 metallic legs that are spread in all directions to the edges. And then you see the cable descending through the midst of this from what looks like an open black maw, in which there are a multitude of razor sharp metallic teeth. This doesn't look like any kind of creature you've seen before, but the cable and the winch mechanism hitches for a moment, and I would like you all to roll initiative at this point, as it is attempting to reel up Jin.
Was I able to get my thorn whip off?
Yeah, you were trying to hold Jin, so go ahead and fire that off
Nice.
to see
So-
if you're able to get a hold of Jin.
That is a 29 to hit.
That's going to hit Jin.
So I don't know whether I've got liberty to not attack with it, but to just kind of grab with it. That's entirely up to you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to just grab him with it. Thorn whip is 2 words, not 1 word. Thorn whip sounds like a rich, like a noble's name. Alistair Thorn
Thorn
Whip.
Whip. Nice to meet you. And this is the missus.
Barrington Thornwhip. I feel that.
Great. We just created someone else.
Writing
All
that
right.
name down.
Just add that to the list of characters you want to play. We'll have to create a family of Thorn Whips. I'll start working that right away. All right, so initiative. I'm so underprepared.
Prestigious family of druids turned aristocratic lumber barons.
I love it.
Great.
Wow.
Hold on,
There's
my Christmas tree is hiding my pens.
That's not a Christmas tree, Jake. That's a mimic.
Writing that down.
No,
for just
mine.
for just a split
Mine.
second, for just a
I
split
actually-
second, I tensed when you said that.
I'm the one
I
who's
actually
smart.
have
Let me have that.
mini.
All right. Let's see. So Jin rolled a nat 20 on initiative. And then Phalos, what do you got?
I don't remember.
20.
20?
20.
Steve.
9.
Fig.
A 2.
You're rolling a 20-sided die, right?
This
Bark.
has not been good going well.
16.
Sorry, what was that, Bark?
16.
Asclepios.
I got a 5.
A lot of low numbers here. And then I need to roll for my... Okay, so it looks like our order is going to be Jin, Phalos, Bark, and I just want to call the owl bear Bite. Bark and Bite.
That would be hysterical. Who's worse?
The Blade Maw is going to go next, followed by Eve, Asclepios, and Fig. There we go. Okay, so Jin. Jin is a fighter.
Rumor has it.
Yeah. I think Jin is going to attempt to he's going to put since Bark has this thorn whip around him, Jin is going to try to push against the magnet and see if he can release himself just by pushing off from it. So he's going to somebody roll me a athletics check for Jin.
Okay.
I don't want to do Jin's rolls in combat.
It's an 11.
So that's a +5, so a 16. And then
All right, this one's Jin.
what's the strength of the Blade Maw is you watch as he pushes and starts to pull away, and then as it gets a 19.
I'll use a reaction to Flash of Genius and add 5 to his athletics check.
Okay, so he had a 16, so that gives him a 21.
Nice.
As it starts to pull him back, he pushes up. He actually kicks his feet up using the slack that's in the thorn whip as Bark is getting ready to pull taut, and he pushes with his feet and his hands and is able to push away Bark. You kind of pull on the thorn whip, and Jin falls to the floor of the cog and is able to escape. Phalos, it is your turn.
So the Blade Maw of the Nope was illuminated for a brief flash of lightning and then darkness again, right?
Correct. You can no longer see it.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and charge up the old arm cannon and blast another fireball up there because screw that. So that'll be a DC 20 dexterity saving throw.
Oh, all right. That is a natural 20 on the die, which would make it a 23.
I mean,
How about we burn some domain dice?
there's
okay.
no
Again.
above
So
me.
that's 2 domain dice down.
That's
And I will
okay.
re-roll my Atcon
We just-
D20.
We just earned a whole bunch, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Sam just blessed us again.
Oh, well, there you go. So yeah, our dice patron Chameleon Fam has come in and blessed the domain or blessed the Dawnbringers with another 20 domain dice. So you're at like 175 again. I think I think the new goal is to get you guys over 200.
Please, that'd be fun.
By the time Dawnbringers ends at season 20, you're gonna have over 1,000 domain dice, and you're just gonna dump them all into the boss battle. All right, so the new roll using that domain inspiration is a 4 on the die for a 7.
Aha!
That is a fail.
So that'll be 41 points of fire damage.
Oh boy.
Nice.
And it took 15 the first time. And you actually watch as your fire kind of washes over this thing. You can see it fully illuminated now. Unfortunately, as the shadows are moving around it and the flame is passing through portions of this that aren't the solid parts of it, you see that where this maw is, that there's teeth that are pointed down, there's teeth that are pointed in, teeth that are pointed up, and they're all rotating and cycling like this. And you see that there is more form of it behind this maw that you can see as the flame dissipates. Some of the fire lingers, but it doesn't look as though the fire did as much damage as you would have hoped to this creature.
Of course, and I imagine, was there anything up there that would be flammable that would catch fire, or is it pretty much all metal?
From what you can
Flammable
see,
stuff?
you're in a metal cylinder with some sort of metal creature up above you.
Sure. All right, so no light lingering. All right, so I will just blind fire my Eldritch Cannon, which is still active. It hasn't been an hour since we had the fight with the things outside, right? Like, we haven't taken any short rests or anything, so.
No, you haven't. You guys
Okay.
moved pretty quickly when you moved through the spinning blade chamber. You had all kind of split up. So, yeah, it's definitely, I would say at this point, it's been maybe 20 or 30 minutes.
All right, good deal. The Eldritch Cannon only lasts for an hour, so. Okay, so I will just go ahead and pop off a blind shot with the Force Ballista then and see how we do. 12 on the low end, so that is, where's my bonus to hit? So that's a 22.
22 to hit is a hit.
All right, cool. I'll do a little bit of force damage, and then that'll be my turn. 10, 13.
13. Okay. Yeah, and you see that just launch up in there, and you hear a brief grinding of gears and see a shower of sparks as it takes all of the force damage. I believe that's Bark and the Owlbear next.
All right, well, the owlbear's not really going to be able to do anything since it's not not going to be able to climb the walls. With Phalos just going and having launched a fireball, would I be able to see this creature?
Since everything's sort of happening concurrently, I'll say that yes, you have eyes on it for this round because it was illuminated by the fireball.
Well, no, Bark is pretty wise, so he's gonna look for a way to damage this thing and offer a light source at the same time. So I'm gonna cast Guiding Bolt. So again, he's already got the staff out, and as he begins to cast the dots or the star pattern upon his cloak, this time begin to take shape of the spider. And that is man, my dice are rolling well tonight. That's two 18s and a 17 I've rolled. So it's a 28 to hit.
That's definitely a hit.
So that's
Oh, sorry, Jake. Since we got a couple of looks at it, about how high up is it away from us?
It's about 80 feet total.
so does 19 points of damage.
What kind of damage?
I believe it's radiant.
Oh, that's right. You were doing guiding bolt. 19. So as you fire this, Bark, what does your guiding bolt look like?
So he's a druid of stars. So it's kind of like a reverse, shooting stars, as opposed to them like falling to the ground. It's it's launching from his staff upwards towards this thing.
The first image that popped into my head was the Super Mario Galaxy multicolored stars.
Not quite that effect, but it's
so as this illuminated force shoots upward and hits this thing, all of you can now see it as it is illuminated at the top of the cavern, and you watch as that cable with the magnet on the end of it, you hear it go and it retracts upward, and then you hear that sound as it moves in a rotating manner, all of its 8 legs just kind of independently and sort of in opposites moving down as it drops another 30 feet lower. And that's going to put it at 50 feet from all of you. And I need everybody to make a dexterity saving throw. Somebody needs to roll for Jin.
Jin just got a 15.
So that's going to give Jin a dirty 20. That'll be a save.
Do we have any paladins in this group?
Yes.
What's your aura of protection?
Aura of protection.
Or, your charisma bonus.
Where is it? Aura of protection. +2 if you're within 10 feet.
All right. What did everybody get for their dex saves? Phalos?
9.
Eve?
13.
Fig?
So I got a 5, but with the 2, that would be 7.
Ooh, okay. Bark and the owlbear?
It's a 16 for Bark. That is a 7 for the owlbear.
And Asclepios?
I nat 20'd for a total of 23.
Asclepios and Jin are the only 2 that succeed.
Oh,
Dang.
As fire
what
cascades
did you
down. Say that again?
I got a 13.
What was your dex save?
13. Yeah. I also have the thing
some-
where I'm only going to take half damage on this.
Somebody else had a 16, right?
that was me.
All right. I'll burn another flash of genius to add 5 to Bark's saving
Yeah,
throw
give it
to
to
bump
Bark
him up
because
to
I can take
21.
half on this.
Bark
there's
is
a-
also
there's a-
going to be able to avoid the brunt of this.
So there's
As-
a little momentary thing that pops out, looks almost like a little satellite dish, and flares and puts a little short-lived force field around you that deflects some of the fire.
16, 17, 22.
You got one more of those.
28 damage to those that failed of fire damage.
28.
14 to those that succeeded.
Oh.
As the entire chamber, most of the chamber, is filled with a swirling cyclone as it comes out of the maw and seems to be agitated by these swirling teeth. This fireball just goes. Let's see. So Jin takes 14 damage. And that is going to be the Blade Maw's turn. Eve,
Yep.
you are up.
Cool. I'm going to shoot my bow at it. Because it's too far away.
At this point, it's 50 feet away from you.
Yeah, I still can't get up onto it to do much more than anything else. I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to shoot it with my bow, and that is a 19 to hit.
That is going to hit.
Cool. Then that's 9 points.
Is your bow magical?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Your bow goes flying. Not your bow. Your arrow.
I hope not my bow. I did
Your
not roll the
arrow.
one.
Your arrow goes flying up into the maw, and you hear it instantly get just shredded as it goes into this maw. But you see sparks again. You hear a little bit of grinding gears, and you all watch as about 3 of these large metal teeth come cascading down and sort of fall through the holes in the gear that you're standing on. That is going to take us to Asclepios.
So Asclepios bends down quickly and picks up just like a small handful of that kind of off-cast machinery pieces you were talking about that Fig had slipped on earlier, the ball bearings and the small cogs and screws and things. And as he does so, he turns back around and these red ribbons have like shot out of his gauntlet and wrapped around his hand that's holding this bundle. And Then those ribbons disconnect from him and wrap themselves around the bundle of things itself into like a sphere. And as that happens, as the last ribbon kind of comes to wrap around the sphere, it begins to glow faintly. And he's going to rear back with this kind of mechanical clinking sound and launch this ball of metal right at the magnet that this thing has after casting daylight upon it.
All right. It has reeled the magnet up, so you need to go ahead and make an attack roll.
Ooh, that's probably disadvantage since it's 50 feet out.
Yeah. What is the exact? You're casting daylight. Is the rest of it just
Oh, that's true.
You're throwing it? I'm just trying to figure out what action you're taking. You're
Yeah, so I'm
casting a spell.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
casting
casting daylight on the bundle and
Okay.
pitching it
as
the
you're
magnet.
throwing it. Yeah, I think that's going to be disadvantaged because of the distance.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna burn a domain die.
Sure.
Because Joey's awesome. Okay. So that starts at a 7. Let's see. Four and 4, so 15 total. Doing it strength based.
15 total. You, as you hurl this ball with daylight cast on it, you just throw it as hard as you can, and you watch as it sort of the light seems to sort of grow as the spell is kind of moving through all of the different components and seems to kind of burst from within into this full-blown daylight spell. You can clearly see this bundle of metal reach the pinnacle of its arc, and it's a good 3 feet away from this magnet. But you watch as it just sort of hovers there for a moment, and is pulled into the magnetic field. 15 was the DC that you had to hit. So now a daylight enhanced bundle of gears is attached to the magnet, and you can clearly see up into the tunnel that the blade maw itself is these 8 thick metallic segmented legs that, looking now that you can see clearly the interior of this cylinder that looks like it goes up for quite a long ways, it's full of dents and pock marks and literal tears from where this thing has been for how who knows how long, moving up and down. But you see these 8 legs, you see this maw of blade, rotating scything teeth, and then you see what looks like a column of blades and segments that arises a good 50, 60 feet further up. That whether it's this thing's body or maybe this thing is an appendage of a much larger entity, you don't know. But now you can see it in all of its glory. And you can also see now that there are bits of other machinery and even bone that are woven into some of the bits of metal. Not that it's a part of it, but rather remnants of things that it has encountered. That is going to take us then to Fig. Fig, I would like you to make me, before you do your action, I would like you to make me a insight check.
19.
The whole time that this thing has been engaging all of you, there has been this constant clatter and grinding of gears, this heavy metallic sounds, which has grown to a cacophony as the rest of those around you are engaging in this close quarters combat with this entity above them. You see sparks sort of showering in slow motion around you. You see as your party members, as you just sort of look around, you see Eve drawing a bow releasing it, the others casting spells up, Asclepios launching that thing upward. You see the owl bear just in frustration, sort of dancing around in a circle, looking up, snapping into the air. Jin sort of just picking himself up off the floor. But you don't necessarily hear the full grinding sound of this. You hear a voice mixed in with all of this. You hear, "It has returned. It is back. It is brother. It is father." What would you like to do, Fig?
Is that voice Archimedes or no?
No, it sounds like it's coming from the Blade Maw itself.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I was gonna say, Archimedes, your voice has gotten very deep. Oh boy. Fig is gonna take a mental note of that. However,
Well, let's put a pin in that.
yeah. Fig is going to deconstruct his emotions about that later. But right now he's going to hurl a fireball at this thing. Just directly into the maw. Just aim it into this maw of swirling metal.
All right.
So, yeah, has to make a deck save.
That's going to be a 14.
All right, it is going to take 43 points of fire damage as he shoots
Nice
this.
roll.
As he shoots
Wow.
this
Yeah.
spinning fire up into the air.
As your fireball launches upward and is almost lost, drowned in the light of the daylight spell, it strikes the blade maw and the fire cascades through, burning away some of the bone, and even in all of this light you can see desiccated flesh of whatever other creatures it had destroyed before. You hear that voice crying out in anguish, "Why do you destroy your creation?" And in your mind, you hear Archimedes, "What is that thing?"
Just quickly, Fig is just gonna look. Sorry, I can't really visualize where we are in relation to this thing. Like, I know it's up, but like, where are we?
You're in a silo, basically.
Okay, and so the only exit.
There is a door to the left, and there's down, which is where you came from. Because you all sort of climbed up through a series of gears that were spaced about 10 feet apart to get to this platform.
Jake, are we hearing any of this exchange or just Fig?
Only Fig is hearing this. Well, actually, what languages does everybody speak?
Common and Draconic.
I have common, infernal, and undercommon.
Anybody else have undercommon or draconic?
Common, Druidic, Elvish, Gnomish, Sylvan.
So I would say then, let me double check what Jin's languages are. Nope. So actually, I would say then that Phalos and Eve, you pick up a couple of words. Phalos, you hear the draconic words for father and brother. you pick up the tone and the word "why," Eve, in Undercommon. It's sort of a mismatch of different languages, and so you're picking up these syllables or words in these cries. All right. So do you understand then where you're at, Fig? You're muted.
Yep. Fig is going to start making his way towards that door.
You can absolutely do that. No problem.
Okay.
So you're now standing sort of on this, the smallish platform next to this door. And
I also think he would call out to the others of, I believe that this thing and we have a similar creator. And that's his turn.
All right, that is going to come back to Jin. It looks like Zach learned his lesson after Gerithan and did arm Jin with a ranged weapon. So if somebody wants to go ahead and roll an attack roll plus 10 for Jin to
24.
Okay. As Jin sort of rolls up to a knee, immediately has this magical longbow in hand and pulls out what I imagine is a an arrow wrought from clockwork elements. And he is going to take 2 quick shots. So go ahead and roll a second one.
Okay. That's a 22.
Roll me 2d8 and then
2d8?
add 12.
Why are these dice rolling better for him than they've ever rolled for me? Okay, so then that is going to be, you said add 12 to it?
Yep.
Okay, so then that is 20 even.
All right. Jin takes a moment as he pulls the string back on the bow, and he sort of readjusts, and he takes 2 quick shots at opposite sides, and the entire entity shrieks and shifts as he strikes the joints of 2 of its legs, severing them. So it begins to shift and drops 10 feet towards all of you. There's a scraping of metal and shower of sparks as it kind of pulls itself to a stop. It is now 20 feet over your head. And Phalos, it is your turn. And I would like all of you to make me a perception or an insight check, whatever works best for you.
Jin just got a 14 straight up.
Silas has a 19 perception.
Eve got a 28.
Yeah, it's going to be a 20, 19. Enough of you. Did anybody get under a 15? Okay, so Asclepios and Fig don't notice this. The rest do. This thing has taken a fair bit of damage and appears to be sort of shuddering, especially now that 2 of its legs are sort of dangling limp. You also realize that if you disable this thing, the entire bulk of it is going to drop down on top of you. So with that knowledge, Phalos, what would you like to do?
First, I'm going to wish I was high enough level to cast Wall of Force, and then I'm going to say it seems to be communicating. Did anyone catch more of what it was saying? And then I'm going to spend a first level spell slot to rebuild my Eldritch Cannon into the force field projector and give us all some temporary hit points because it hurt. Where is it? Eldritch Cannon Protector. Bonus action, 1d8 plus 5 temporary hit points to each creature of my choice within 10 feet. So that's basically everybody since we're all clustered up on this platform.
Yep.
So everybody gain 8 temporary hit points. So the arm cannon sort of breaks apart into those little constituent sections and then reassembles itself into this sort of half capsule shaped glowing blue and green emitter that starts projecting this 10-foot translucent bubble around him, and it shields you. So there you go.
Very nice.
And I guess the last thing I'll say is, if we damage it much more, it's going to fall.
Do you step in the room to the left?
There is no room to the left.
I thought you said there was a door.
There's a door.
Well,
A small platform with Fig standing on it with not much more room than that. Maybe one other person could stand on the platform with Fig with the door closed.
Is that the door we came from, or another door that we're going?
No, you came from below.
Okay,
Remember?
we came up to the door, right?
Yep. Bark.
I will turn to the owlbear, and you've got the name wrong. It's not bite. It's going to be bait. So I'm gonna command it to like try and get this thing's attention while I ask my allies to move, and I will go see if I can get the door open.
Okay. You can get to the door, no problem. You're just going to try to open it.
Indeed.
It has that sort of round, the circular handle with the indentations in it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just try to open it, it rotates, although the clockwork sort of begins grinding and churning, and the door opens into a very large chamber, basically 30 feet by 30 feet.
So, quick, this way, everyone. I'll step into the room.
All right, so you continue on into the room. It is now the Blade Maw's turn. And it is going to attempt a snatch and grab. We've got Owlbear. We've got basically everybody.
The owlbear is trying to get its attention. I don't know, what action that counts as, but
were you trying to get his attention too, Asclepios? Is that what that was? Okay. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you're not there. 1, 2, 3, 4 plus the owlbear makes 5. Okay. What I'm going to say, because both the owlbear and Asclepios are sort of trying to draw its attention. If it lands on anybody, I'm going to roll a die. If it lands on anybody other than those two, I'm going to re-roll it. And then we'll stick with that new number. That's going to be Eve. Nope. Jin, then Phalos. Sorry, it's Phalos. The magnet is going to come down and is going to attempt to engage with you. It is very bright because a daylight orb is attached to it. And it is going to make an attack against you. That's an 8 on the die. That gives it a 13 to hit, which I don't think is going to hit. So what I imagine happens is, at this point, smaller bits of debris are sort of raining down around all of you. Some of it is sort of I imagine almost like the force field in the Phantom Menace, when the things are striking against the shots are striking against it as it hits your protective field. This magnet comes down on this cable, and a larger piece of one of those legs that Jin shot breaks loose and strikes the magnet, hits it, gets stuck to it, and swings it. And it goes vroom, and just sticks to the side of the wall. And because it didn't grab you, it can attempt to reel you in and bite you. So that is going to then move on to Eve. The door is now open to the next room. What would you like to do?
Make my way to the other room.
All right. You are able to do so. Is that all you're going to do is move out then?
Yeah, I'm still gonna have like bow drawn and ready just in case the maw tries to come towards anyone as they're going towards the door. So I'm holding.
All right. So you move and then you just sort of hold to take a shot at it if
Yeah,
it takes.
if it tries to go
Okay.
after anyone else.
Perfect. Asclepios.
So Asclepios is making a strategic retreat. He wants to be the last one out of the room. Kind of, other than the owlbear, maybe. He's going to kind of be trying to usher people towards the door who haven't made it that direction yet. And kind of, while doing so, he's got his shield out and facing this spider type thing, ready if it comes for him.
All right. As you do that, it's going to be Jin. Jin and Phalos are going to be able to take their turns. I know Jin will sort of take everybody's cue. Also do the same as Eve. Will sort of move into that doorway with bow drawn and just sort of cover. And then Phalos, what would you like to do?
I think you missed me.
Yeah, I think Fig got skipped.
Oh, you're right. I did skip right over you, Fig. I apologize.
Yes.
You are after
It's
Asclepios, so before Jin makes his.
All right. So Asclepios is okay. Ready to action to run in, or you're waiting, right? To make sure everyone
Asclepios
else...
is sort of standing, trying to help usher everybody out of the room, and is sort of waiting in a protective manner in case it attempts to attack anyone else. And you're sort of on that platform at this point. Bark and Eve have run past you into the other room.
Yeah. Okay. So I think Fig is going to also head into the other room. Actually, no. Fig is going to cast a Wall of Force on as much of the path from where Asclepios or the farthest person away to the door as possible. I can make a flat surface, 10 by 10.
You might be able to just like seal off the tunnel underneath the spider so it can't get to us.
Yeah, you can create a hemispherical dome or a sphere with a radius up to 10 feet. A flat surface made of 10 foot by... Yeah, you absolutely could basically...
10, yeah.
You could absolutely create a force ceiling above all of your heads if that's what you wanted to do.
Yes, I imagine Fig is going to throw up a bunch of these gears that go whizzing in all different directions around the silo, and they seem to stick themselves into the silo walls, and then all of a sudden you see, as if it was like these lights coming on, you see it's the light begin to stutter on of this huge just platform that is the same blue hue that is rushing through Fig's veins, and then he'll run towards the open door.
As you're running towards the open door, you hear Archimedes in the back of your mind. Such an opportunity to take control of it squandered. Always running away. Now, the rest of you inside, there is a ceiling protecting all of you from any falling debris. And you can all make an escape if you wish.
Yes, please.
And Asclepios, as you sort of usher everybody else out of the room, you notice that as this thing is working its way down, that pieces of it are breaking off of it. And you watch just before you leave the room as this thing starts coming down towards this wall, and it seems to sort of smash itself against this force wall, which is completely impenetrable. And it basically, you watch as in a shower of sparks and debris, it grinds itself to a pulp. And well, not a pulp, more of a shredded metallic mass. Until all that's left is this long sparking appendage, this segmented arm, picture like one of Doc Ock's arms, tentacles, and that sparking thing just sort of disappears up into it's hard to see Asclepios because there's a bunch of debris from the blade maw on this force ceiling above your head.
It is glowing with daylight, though.
What's that?
It's glowing
No, I
with
mean,
daylight.
it's not that it's dark, it's that there's so much debris blocking your view.
Right.
But you're able to duck out. Fig, do you keep concentrating on it, or do you let it drop after everybody's clear?
After everyone's clear, he would let it drop.
It is absurdly loud and goes on for almost a full minute as all of these bits and pieces of this thing are falling onto the cogs and dropping down the 3 layers that you climbed and even further into the bottom of this pit, however far it goes. I mean, it sounds like when they're in the mines of Moria and they knock the bucket into the well. Fool of a took. But eventually the clatter ceases and you are out of combat.
I was able to call the owlbear out, right?
Yeah, the owlbear was able to come out with everybody else.
So as we're listening to this din sort of falling down the chute, Phalos will fiddle with and adjust that protector field, and everyone's temporary hit points increase to a total of 13.
So everybody's temporary hit points increased to 13, you said?
Yeah, I replaced their 8 with a 13.
Just, I want to make sure I'm adjusting Jin's sheet accordingly. So you are now all standing in a mostly square chamber, 30 feet by 30 feet. There is a curved copper door in the northwestern corner that leads to the north. In the southwestern corner, there is a 20-foot long hallway leading to another clockwork door. In the southeastern corner, that corner is sort of cut off. It's kind of at an angle. So it's an angled wall in which there are about half a dozen brass containers of various sizes. They look kind of like vases and cylindrical containers. Lying on the floor next to them, about 3 feet in diameter, glowing with an emerald green energy, is an emerald cog. And as you're sort of looking at it, you just see and hear it as it's sort of pulsing. You just hear this. And that's where we're going to take our break. I want to say a big shout out to everybody who is joining us in chat. I see we've got a few new viewers. Welcome everybody. We're glad you stumbled across us, and we hope you'll stick around. If you haven't done so already, hit that follow icon. and continue to enjoy our D&D stories. We are going to take about a 10-minute break, and we will continue with the rest of this session for about another hour and a half. And we'll see you on the other side of the break. Go ahead and take us to break, Dwight. And we're back. This room that you're in, there are a variety of these metal brass canisters in the southeast corner. There's that curved door to the north, the hallway to the lower west, and sort of offset from the middle of the room on the floor is this 3-foot diameter glowing emerald green cog. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Was it emerald green or is it legitimately a gemstone?
I don't know. You want to take a closer look?
I do.
Are you going to look with your eyes or your hands?
I will look with my eyes.
Okay, go ahead and give me an investigation check.
Investigation. I was hoping you would say perception. Investigation's a -1. That's a 11.
You're no gemologist
I am.
or metallurgist, but it's glowing a bright green, and it's hard for you to get a good look, Bark, at what texture this thing is made of. As you lean into it, it's causing you to squint from the brightness of the glow. What is everybody going to do?
Eve turns right to Fig. What's that?
Fig's gonna touch it.
Okay.
Touch it.
Fig's been in the party with a couple of dwarves for a while.
Their bad
Fig.
habits are rubbing off on him.
What does WWTD mean? It's on your bracelet.
You reach down and you all hear this sort of metal on glass sound as Fig reaches out and touches this cog. Fig vanishes. The emerald cog goes silent and dim. It looks like a cog that is made out of emerald, but has lost all of its luster.
Phalos runs up and touches it.
Nothing happens.
Damn it.
Where did
Fig.
he go?
This whole thing is to figure out where the heck Fig's been
And Fig
for
disappears.
the last however much, and now Fig's gone again. This is welcome to
Now for a part 2.
Figception.
We're going to
Fig-
inception these
Fig's-
interludes. Yeah.
Figception.
Yeah.
For a moment, actually, I would like to see how everybody's reacting. Jin is sort of up against the wall, bow still drawn, sort of pointed down the hallway, watching, sort of doing like a military coverage, making sure that the avenues of approach are covered. Phalos has attempted to touch this. Bark is sort of crouched down looking at it. Eve and Asclepios, what are you doing?
Eve is just sort of shaking her head. She's like, I don't think this one sticks around for very long.
I think Asclepios has kind of just stepped up back behind Phalos and is just staring down at this thing in disbelief, asking, where did he go?
Bark would basically panic, looking around, trying to find some semblance or clue of what's going on. He's not very bright, so he just kind of like in his like high pitched, almost avian voice, like yells out, protect him, where is he?
Fig. As you touch the emerald cog, your vision fills with green light. And a moment later, the brightness of it goes away. You find yourself in an incredibly vast cavern. made entirely of emerald. Everything around you glows green. The floor below your feet has the glass-like ring of, yeah, for all intents and purposes, it's like the Emerald Palace in Oz. Everything has that look. These sort of polished floors, this cathedral-like ceilings rise up, and you're in the middle of this space, and it looks like the walls of that rise up, that they are a good. It's hard to tell. It looks like they could be 50 feet away, but they could just as easily be 1,000 feet away. Your perspective, you're finding it hard to lock on to a true perspective in this place, as there's no point of reference. Archimedes in your mind says, "Where are we? What have you done?"
Fig is going to turn around behind him to see if there's a cog there or anything.
You sort of spin around in place. There's nothing.
It appears that we are in a different place. Again.
Where's everyone else? Not that it matters. We don't need them.
Are you scared, Archimedes?
What? No. Scared. I'm concerned. I don't like not knowing.
Fig is going to begin to walk forward with this weird perception thing going on as well. He's just going to keep his hands out in front of him as well.
Okay. Fig begins walking. We're going to cut back to the other room. Everybody's sort of standing around looking at this now dim cog in the absence of Fig. What would you like to do?
I guess now that touching it didn't whisk us off to wherever Fig went, Phalos will see if there's anything to be gleaned from examining this thing closely. If we can figure anything out about it.
Go ahead. Give me an investigation check. If you are proficient, you may also add your Arcana.
Like add together, or use Arcana instead of
Add
investigation?
your Arcana.
So like basically double proficiency bonus, or
Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're adding
Well,
both
I'm proficient. I'm proficient in Arcana, but not investigation.
That's fine.
Okay.
You're using your investigative skills, and you're
Plus Arcana
adding
proficiency.
your Arcana if you're trained in it.
Right.
The the rules construct in your mind is, I feel like it's breaking a little bit.
No. That makes perfect sense. 23.
So as you're looking this over, and you've already touched it and determined that it's inert, so would you continue touching it and sort of turning it over, or are you just visually inspecting it?
Oh no, he'll get a hold of it, and
Okay.
he's going to very carefully inspect it, see if he can find any inscriptions, anything.
You don't find any inscriptions, but you're looking at it and sort of you're studying it, and you realize that the while it is a cog, it lacks any sort of connective, like there's no hole in the middle that would allow it to be connected to an axle or a peg or to another cog in a series. It doesn't seem to be a functional cog. It's more decorative. And the magic that is now dormant in it seems to be used as it's a little anachronistic for this world, but I'm going to use this word because I think we'll all understand what it means. It seems to function like a port key. It seems to function as a sort of a tool for teleportation. While not a teleportation circle itself, it's an instrument of teleportation.
So is there any response when I call out about, like, I don't know how we got connected to whatever voice that said protect him, but I'm going to try and see if there's a way to reestablish that connection, or I don't know. It's a shot in the dark.
All right. How are you doing it, and what are you saying?
So, I'd already said out loud, protect him. Where is he? But I guess I'll just, try to get into an inner monologue, see what little bit of conversation I've had with Fig, and see if I can make some kind of connection, between us.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a, let's call this a persuasion check.
Persuasion.
I seem to have an innate ability to hone in on Ted's least.
Dude, I got no. I'm doing something crazy. You could have just been like, roll a die and see what happens. Persuasion's a +1. It's not like, investigation. It's a -1. There you go. So that's a total of an 8.
An 8. You seem to be just calling out into the room. You're not sensing a connection with anything. Your words are just, those around you are hearing them. Eve, what are you doing?
Finding my mouse. She's going to be looking around the cog itself to see if there's any type of sort of like pressure plates or like switches or something along those lines. If there's like a trigger or some sort of electronic, well, not electronic, but you know what I mean, like some sort of system set up with it that would cause it to activate and deactivate.
Okay, so Phalos has picked it up and is sort of looking at it, and you're investigating the floor where it was.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll an investigation check.
Okay. What's my investigation again? It's gonna be 13.
Yeah, this looks. What's interesting is, and maybe because of the way things happened, you sort of didn't notice this, Phalos, but on the first level where everything was made of these sort of adamantine flagstones, and there was the occasional odd sort of patinaed floor that you tried to avoid. The entire floor of this room is made of those types of panels. The entire floor looks like what you tried to avoid previously. So it's this sort of circular plate. Well, it's a rectangular floor plate divided into 4 pieces with a circle in the middle. And the whole floor is those types of plates. You don't see any plates that would move. There's no switches. None of the rivets in the floor look like they would activate anything. This seems, for all intents and purposes, seems to have been a magical manner in which Fig was teleported away.
Does it seem like we might be able to re-energize this thing, or is it more in the nature of this was a one-shot or a limited use kind of, like its use for the day is burnt or something?
With the investigation you gave it, while you don't know if there's any sort of like charging stone or other element it'll interact with, you do know that whatever energy was in it is currently expelled. Whether it's for a one-time use or it can be recharged, you don't know. Jin is just sort of leaning against the wall. He sort of relaxed his bow. We aren't going to find him if we just stand here wondering where he went. There's a door down this hallway, and there's one of those curved doors up there.
Fine, let's check the doors then and get going and see if maybe one leads to something else.
Somebody already picked up the cog, right?
Phalos has it.
Okay. Okay. Good deal.
Eve will go to the curved door first. Check to see if there's traps or anything.
Go ahead and give me an investigation check on that door, Eve.
Okay, that's gonna be an 18.
This door has no mechanism by which to open it that you can see, no form of traps. It looks like the backside of any of the other curved doors you've seen that are usually activated from inside a clockwork chamber. You get the sense that you're probably on the outside of one of those chambers, and that this door may open through an activity performed in that chamber.
And this is a can't get there from here type of door. We have to go somewhere else to open it. And she'll go to the other door down the hallway, you said?
Yep. It's down a 20-foot hallway, and it's one of those it's one of those clockwork doors that you're able to open with the circular gear.
Okay, open it.
All right. You do so. You see a hallway that extends another 20 feet. You see a much larger curved door, looking again like it's on the backside of a clockwork chamber. This door is, one second. Where did it go? Ah, that explains it. This door is also closed. I have to retcon something. I made a mistake in my description that is going to vastly change your area of egress. I had the map enlarged to a point where I could only see the door and assumed a wall there. So going back to the curved door that is on the other side of a clockwork chamber, you know this because to the right of it is the open portion that leads into that chamber. You can actually see into a very large clockwork chamber to the north. This chamber is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 feet in diameter. It is larger still than the largest chamber you were in on the first level. There are 2 platforms that are located on this cog that have one of them on the far side has a red sigil with the draconic version of the initials of Embersom, Copernicus Embersom. The platform closest to you has a series of symbols on it that you're currently unable to get a clear look at. There is a third symbol, or platform rather, that has a large blue gemstone on it, mounted in some sort of device that seems to look like it is designed to focus this crystal on the center of the room. There are 3 other doors that you can see closed that curve off of this chamber, one to the southwest, one to the west, and one to the northeast.
All right, I'm getting tired of doors. One of you pick one.
Do the sigils and platforms look similar to the first room with the exploding magic missile feature?
Similar, but much larger.
Anything have a a cog symbol standing out somewhere?
From here, as I said, this is a 70-foot diameter chamber. So from here, it is very difficult for you to make that determination. I'm going to see if I can get you a screenshot.
Go take a closer look without stepping on anything.
I don't think we have many other options, quite frankly.
All right, Jake. Phalos will engage his boots and fly over to get a closer look at some of the sigils and platforms and what I'm sure now is a mass device from G.I. Joe on the other side of the room. Speaking of old,
Right. I'm going to drop in our chat what that looks like. So you can get a clear look at it. Later, I will engage with the Discord with the maps of where everybody's been, so the audience can see that as well. But if the Dawnbringers will look in our chat, you'll see where the green cog is the room you came into and found the green cog. And then you can see to the north, that's the chamber you're looking at. There is a door that I cut off in my screenshot that goes to the left of that. But you can see there the 3 different sigils that make up this these platforms. Each of these platforms is about 10 feet in diameter. So, Phalos, you're just sort of hovering over this area just to get a better look at it, yeah?
correct.
All right. All right. As you enter the chamber, which direction are you going?
So I guess you would go first to the closest platform with that sigil that I don't think we recognize yet. Is that right? The bottommost one?
Okay.
Just to examine that first.
You begin flying towards that sigil, and you suddenly hear, and I need a dexterity saving throw, Phalos, as energy lashes out from that blue crystal focused, targeting
Told
you.
Nat 20. So that's 22 total.
So you're only going to take half damage from the lightning bolt.
Oh, God.
Hold on a second. My headphones just told me they're dying. Actually, what they said was,
No,
please
you
charge.
You misunderstood. They said Phalos is dying.
1 second. Okay. Somebody say something.
Something.
Okay. I can't hear you. I just forgot to charge my headphones earlier today. That's why I have backups. Okay, so you are going to take half damage from the lightning bolt. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 d6. That's 10, 13, 14, 15, 18, 20, 22. So you take only 11 points of damage as lightning arcs through this contraption as you see this crystal shoot this energy at you. After it strikes you, you see that it grows dim for a moment, and then you hear, and it seems to be charging up again.
Does it look like I can get behind the crystal, or is it sort of open to the room all the ways around?
It does look like you could maneuver around behind it.
Because it looks like there are those 3 smaller initial
Yes.
sigils. All right, I'm going to go behind it to one of those.
You take off, you fly behind it, and go ahead and give me a perception check as you do so.
I'm going to burn a domain die because that was a nat 1.
Another domain
10.
die down.
10, that's better. So that's a total of 15.
As you sort of fly over behind there, you realize that this crystal has basically 3. It can be targeted, targeting each of the platforms, but it can swing freely. And basically the 3 buttons sigils on the platform. They act like a a Dance Dance Revolution sort of floor foot activated control mechanism for directing this weapon, this sort of lightning ballista, if you will.
Does it look like it's targeting the specific platforms and it only fired when I got over the one, or?
It looks like it targeted you automatically when you entered the room.
Got it. Does it calm down now that I'm behind it, or does it still sound like it's charging up to blast?
As you move around behind it, it is charging up and it is starting to rotate in the direction that you are.
Son of a... All right. I'll press the rightmost sigil.
The right as your stage right or your right?
I imagine I'm behind the thing, facing it. Let me look at the. I got too many.
Can
windows,
we
too many
see
windows.
into the room?
Yes, you can all see into the room.
Can I try a dispel magic on this thing?
Yeah. What's the range?
60.
120 feet.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The upmost.
I imagine you want. I imagine you want a roll.
Yeah, you're gonna need a roll on that.
And I'm just adding my wisdom mod, right?
Yes.
I'm going to use a domain die. That's a 19.
Magical energy lances across this chamber, and as you're frantically, Phalos, trying to figure out which button to press, this energy strikes this arcane device and just... We cut to the interior of this emerald space. Fig, you hear within this chamber of something being powered down. You've been walking for what feels like 10 or 15 minutes, and you have not reached the edge of this room. In fact, it doesn't look like you've moved closer or further away than any of the other walls.
Well, as soon as Fig hears this noise, I think he wants to start going towards it, if he can.
It sounds almost like it's coming from your, like, below your feet, like you felt it more than you heard it.
Fig is gonna like knock against either the floor or if there's actually probably the floor, just to see how brittle or not brittle it is.
Fig, you reach
Like if he
down,
can like,
as you kneel down to the floor to wrap your knuckles against it. In the highly polished floor, you see your reflection. Your reflection, which is the body of Copernicus with your head on it. You see standing next to you in reflection only, Archimedes. You see movement behind you and above you in your reflection as you watch as a massive pair of copper wings unfurl. What do you do?
Fig would look behind him. I think reflexively.
You whip your head around and you look up, and there's no one and nothing there.
Fig is going to peer back down into the reflection. He just sees like the copper wings. He's going to try and like angle himself so he can maybe see like what's behind him.
You shift your body, and looking at the floor, as you shift your body, for a moment, the wings move with you as if they are your wings. And then you see, as you shift to a different direction, that the perspective changes. And you see that there is a large copper dragon above you. In the reflection, you see it, and with a loud and heavy, it settles down onto the floor. You glance up and you see no copper dragon. You can only see this dragon and Archimedes in the reflection of the floor.
So, continuing to look into the reflection, Fig is going to address or just speak out loud. Are you Copernicus?
Throughout the chamber, you hear Copernicus, 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 Copernicus. I am Copernicus. We are all Copernicus.
Fig just kind of pauses, kind of well, I can see the symbology in that. However, I am figure to Prometheus, a construct that Copernicus has created. I am looking to get back to some others so I can get back to some more others.
Several of these words are echoing around this vast emerald cavern. You hear the sibilant S's of others, and sort of blending with the one word that comes back is Prometheus, 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 Prometheus. Figure to Prometheus. Figure 3 Archimedes. The only thing missing is figure 1 Copernicus. The creator. The divine.
Where am I?
Home, home. You are home.
Does this strike any memories for Fig, or does this kind of, does this spur on any kind of recollection?
Give me an
'Cause I
insight
think his
check.
earliest, yeah. Okay. 12.
You concentrate. Everything you're seeing is bathed in this emerald glow of this cavern. And as you look inward and focus on your memories, focusing back as far as you can remember, everything still has that emerald tint, that tint of under the sea, as where you spent, dang it, I knew one of you were going to do that. As you spent so much time under the ocean, in study, where you lived in the remnants of the sunken laboratory of Copernicus. You've gone back here so many times in your memories, drawing on your knowledge that has helped you and the Dawnbringers from all of the collected works of Copernicus in the sunken laboratory. And in your mind, you always, as is with memories, Sometimes you see things from your own point of view. Sometimes you see things from a third person point of view. And it always seems in your third person point of view that the camera is sort of fixed on this one location, almost always sort of over your shoulder. But as you concentrate, trying to remember, as this word home reverberates, the viewpoint shifts almost against its will, like you have to force it to shift. And it begins to rotate away from over your shoulder to shifting around and looking to the left a bit. And you see something that you have never before seen in your memories. You see one wall of the laboratory is a rectangular opening 10 feet high and 10 feet wide. It looks like a window. On the other side of it, you see a very immense library that is awash in golden light from hanging chandeliers all over the place that seem to be casting magical light. You see what has to be 100, 200, maybe 300 feet high walls covered with shelves filled with tomes of books, scrolls, tables covered with maps and drawings. This entire space is hundreds of feet. Your underwater laboratory that you have spent so much time in your memory is but a fraction of this space. You find yourself able to navigate this memory. You are in your mind, you are in this memory of being underwater. Everything has this sort of muffled quality to it. Everything, you kind of move slower. Some of your inner workings have rusted a bit. Your vision isn't so great. But you now see that which you don't remember ever seeing before, that opening. What would you like to do?
Fig wants to go towards the opening. Though I think Fig would stand in the laboratory that he had spent so many years in, just for a few moments, just to look around. And it's a very interesting feeling for Fig, because this is something that he has never felt before, which is he knows he has spent so long in this. He spent so long in this laboratory, but standing in here now, he feels as though he doesn't belong here. That somebody, that Fig that was here is not there anymore, is gone. He doesn't belong here. And so with a new sense of purpose, because I think there was for a fleeting moment where he almost feels like he could stay because it's safe, he knows it, but feeling that sense of not belonging, he starts going towards the rectangle.
As you walk towards the rectangle and you begin to, it seems like it's raised up about maybe 18 inches off the floor. As you begin to sort of press a hand out and maybe lift your foot to step over this threshold, there's a muffled boom as your hand and your knee connect with thick glass. We're going to cut back to the others as you are in this large chamber. Bark has just dispelled this energy weapon that had attacked Phalos. As you dispel the energy weapon, the threat seems to be eliminated. What would you like to do?
All right, so it looks like it's shut down, not just like had its charge dissipated and now it's getting ready to blast again.
It looks like it's completely shut down.
Oh, good. So he'll Phalos will just kind of nod over to Bark and say, "Well, that looks to be taken care of."
I think
Sorry, go ahead.
I think Asclepios is going to enter the room at that point and start heading towards the door that's kind of nearest to the lightning gemstone.
Okay.
Eve's gonna walk in, but have her bow like drawn and ready, just in case anything decides to, skitter, scatter, creep, crawl.
Right. Imagine the size of the
Don't
blade
want to.
maw
Don't want
that
to.
would be in this.
Nope. Nope.
The elder blade maw.
Ma.
uh, Eve, go ahead and give me a perception check as you enter this chamber.
Okay. That is an 8.
Okay.
I didn't roll so good.
All right. Asclepios, you're making your way over to the door that is sort of behind that arcane weapon. What do you want to do?
I want to look for a way to open it. If it's got a handle or some kind of panel or
It doesn't
anything.
have any handles. None of these curved doors have ever had handles. They all have been activated by some means within these circular chambers. But what, you don't know.
So then, noticing the cog pattern on the floor, is it an actual cog, or is
Yeah,
it like
you're
just-
standing on
just
an
a
actual
pattern?
cog.
Does there appear to be a way to move it ourselves?
Not that you can see.
Is the black below in that picture? Is that empty space leading
Yes.
to a chasm below?
Yep. Yep. Sorry, I forgot, Jeremy, that you weren't here last week for these other chambers. Yeah, these are actual cogs with cavernous spaces below.
Did anything seem to happen whenever Phylos pressed that particular switch?
Philos never actually pressed any switches. He started to, and then Bark dispelled the magic on the weapon.
Okay.
In previous chambers, we stood on several of these sigils and glyphs to cause things to happen, perhaps like those. And he'll point to the other two large circular platforms. That one we recognize. It is the seal of the creator of this place. The other is new. So now I'll actually fly back over and examine the bottommost platform and the symbols on it to see if they make any sense or mean anything. Now that
Okay.
I'm not being lightning bolted to death.
Go ahead and give me an investigation check.
13.
As you look at the symbols on this, I'm making an assumption here that Eve and Fig had shown the others the clockwork key that they found. You recognize the patterns on this sigil to match the patterns on the clockwork key. These sigils are, in fact, carved into, they're not etched into. These are sort of cutaways in the platform.
This symbol matches the key you found, Eve.
Oh, here, take the key.
As you pull the key out, Eve, it begins to hum in your hand. And as you're standing there,
Key.
What's that? Oh, in what key?
I had to.
If I could sing, I would hum a note, but I can't. It is in the key of awesome. As it begins to hum, and all around you, you hear this The large cog begins to rotate slowly, one cog at a time, just as it does so, the door that you were standing in front of, but it is now moving counterclockwise, that door in the northeast corner slides open, Asclepios. It's an easy matter to move along the ring of the cog and move to the next tooth of the cog, but that is now an open doorway.
I think seeing that the coast is clear on the other side of the door, he's going to kind of like put his free hand out, almost like he's going to hold this door open if it decides to close, and he's going to try to start ushering people through into the next room again. Hurry, we should go.
Go in.
Come.
You see that there is a 10-foot wide, 30-foot long tunnel, or rather hallway, I should say. In this hallway, you see that there are 2 locked doors to the north and 1 locked door to the south. You know that they are locked because there are padlocks hanging off of the mechanism you would normally turn your hand in to unlock.
That's new and exciting.
There is also there is also an organic life form in a state of decay on the far eastern wall, slumped against the floor. In his skeletal hand, he holds a moldering leather journal and a long since dried quill pen.
Organic corrosion is fragrant.
Has everybody moved into this hallway then?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Eve's
What would you
making
like
a
to do
beeline.
then?
Beeline to the first padlock. She's like ready. Her fingertips have already turned into thieves' tools, and she's ready to just start getting this thing open.
Okay, go ahead and give me
Beeline
a
to the corpse.
sleight of hand. Phalos is going to the corpse.
Okay, that is a 22.
Yeah, this lock is no match for your dexterous hands. You disengage it, and the door will open freely. Phalos, you don't need an investigation check, as you see that I'm assuming you speak common. The journal that this corpse is holding is written in common, and most of the pages have become brittle, but you can read what is written on there. Essentially, what it is saying in what is a shaky hand is that this clockwork maze will be the death of us all. Just as we unlock one secret, 2 more secrets emerge. The traps seem to rely on either casting specific schools of magic or casting magic at increasing levels of strength. Too bad I'm a damn fighter. And that's the last thing that's written. You just hear Jin go, oof. I feel like that's what Zach would have said too. There is a locked door to the south and a locked door to the north immediately to the right of this corpse. The corpse is right. Eve, the door that you unlocked, there's a 20-foot long hallway, and you can see that there is some kind of large chamber on the other side that you can see and hear gears and cogs of all shapes and sizes are moving in some kind of mechanical chamber. to the north.
Oh, this one's a live one. And she walks over to the next padlock, like fingers like clacking and moving around quickly because she can't wait to pick that one too.
All right. Go ahead and give me a sleight of hand on that one. Fig, you find yourself
That's a 24.
rectangular opening looking out into this library appears to be a thick glass. You sort of move your hand along it and you can find no opening. It seems to be a frame of glass embedded in the wall. As you're looking out into this vast library, you see shadows from atop the stacks of books. A large form breaks free of the higher stacks and drops to the floor in a large unfurling of thick copper wings. As it lands and the wings sort of fold back and it steps forward, it seems to grow smaller. It is transforming itself into a humanoid form. But rather than just polymorphing into this humanoid form, you're watching as the wings and the tail and the scales are sort of shifting, and they reform themselves into this coppery humanoid form of Copernicus. Copernicus walks forward, reaches up, touches the glass, and the glass is no longer there. He holds out a hand towards you.
Fig would take it and begin walking towards Copernicus. I think the immediate thing he would say is, the water is going to destroy all the books. He kind of says as he takes Copernicus's hand.
He just sort of chuckles as you step through a wall of water. The water, despite the window being gone, does not spill out into this vast library. You step out into this room, and you notice as you do so, the water just sort of pulls away from you and draws back into this sunken laboratory. No water remains on you. No water drips onto the floor as you step into this library area. Eve, you open the padlock to this door and open the door, and you see another 20-foot hallway leading into a 20-foot diameter circular room. You've seen rooms like this before on the lower level. There's a brass and copper capstan in the middle that you know has been used to turn and open other doors. There is also a very large emerald vase on the far south side. The vase is about 3 feet tall and about maybe 18 inches in diameter.
There's another tiny thing in an emerald vase, and she goes to the other door to unlock that padlock. She's basically just getting all the rooms open so everyone can just start exploring.
Okay. Fig, you're standing in this large library with Copernicus. Figure 1 Copernicus standing there, still holding your hand. Hello, Figure 2 Prometheus. Welcome home.
Fig takes a moment. Fig just stops looking at Copernicus for a while to take in the vast amount of books in this library. And I imagine you can see like his his eyes just almost like a shutter closing and opening again as he like looks closer at these books and their titles and just looking at all at everything.
This version of you that's here is the memory. This is the version that has been submerged in this water for years. Your vision is compromised. You're straining to see, to read titles that your eyes have grown accustomed to the distorted reading of underwater through that emerald tinted water. So you're struggling to look. And Copernicus just looks at you and says, "There's so much that you haven't seen with your own eyes. Here, let me." And he reaches out and he makes a motion, flicking across your vision with his hands. And it's as if he's peeled something away. And as he does so, he's holding 2 copper scales in his hands. And suddenly you can see like you've never seen before. This library that you're looking at, in awe at all of these books, at all of these, what has to be tens of thousands of volumes. You know every title on every spine. You know where every book is in this library. You know every word on every page in this library. There is no part of this massive library that you don't know, because somehow you know that you built this library. Back in the clockwork maze, Eve is quickly moving to the last remaining door. She's just called out about the capstan and that there's an emerald vase in this other room. What is everybody else doing? Bark, you've been quiet. You and your owl bear have been quiet for a while. What are you and Bait doing?
So I mean, this is not Bark's specialty. You know, this is one of those things to let the people with the ability to solve puzzles and what have you take care of. So he's been kind of sitting back, trying to observe. You know, it's already been clear that there's not a whole lot of people who have, you know, come through here. So his tracking skills are not really going to be all that useful. So he's just kind of like observing and being on the lookout for danger if it's, you know, rears its ugly head.
All right. Asclepios, what are you doing?
You said there were 2 other doors in this new space? But
Yep,
both of
there's
them-
one locked one. Eve has unlocked the other 2. The south one that leads to the circular room with
3.
the capstan and the emerald vase, and the north one with the that leads into some kind of machine room with a bunch of whirring cogs and gears.
I think Asclepios is going to move into the one with the moving cogs and gears and kind of just look around. Just make sure that there's nothing hiding amongst the cogs and gears or above them. Or it sneaks in into the rest of us.
You can move 20 feet, and then you see that this large room is comprised of gears and cogs of all shapes and sizes. It seems to be a 30-foot wide, 30-foot high room. How long it is, it's hard to tell. You can see that there's something to the east behind some of the cogs. There's a space, and there's what looks like a copper chest. There looks like there's a narrow passageway leading to the east, or excuse me, to the west, and that there could possibly be a door in that direction. But it looks like you're going to have to move very carefully through this room because of all of the moving machinery. If you're not careful, it might not end well.
Okay, so he's not going to move through this space yet. So I think instead he'll just stop wherever, like the threshold of danger kind of starts, and he'll just kind of listen and make sure everything that he's hearing is rhythmic, so that everything hopefully is a part of this machine and not.
I see what you're getting at. Yeah, make me a perception check.
Okay.
And Phalos, what are you doing?
At this point, probably covering Asclepius if he's messing around in that room on his own. So just kind of watching to see how that plays out over there.
All right. What's your how's your perception check there, Jeremy?
It's pretty on par. It's a 6.
Yeah, I mean, some of these gears and cogs, they sound like they've been here for a very long time. It's hard to get a sense for whether the rattling and shaking sounds are a part of the machine or something else in and amongst the machines. I am going to you guys another screenshot here in a moment that'll help you visualize this area with the 3 doors, a portion of the machinery chamber, and the room with the capstan and the vase. So I'm going to drop that in the chat real quick. Our side chat. There you go. So if you look on the right side there, you can see where that corpse is, and that last door right to next to it. You get that last door open, Eve, with almost no effort at all, and you just find a small empty alcove.
This one's empty. And she'll go back to the room that has the green vase in it.
Okay. So you head down into that room. And there's a few other containers in here, loose cog, and the capstan in the middle of the room. What would you like to do?
Look at the vase first before going to the capstand.
Okay. It's a 3-foot tall, 18-inch diameter vase of emerald.
Any type of engravings or markings, design work?
It's pretty simple. All of the design work in it just seems to be, I don't know how you would describe it, like pleats in the side, vertical pleats.
Fluting?
And then there's a variance in the design and what looks like an actual emerald atop it that would be the handle to remove the top of the vase.
I opened the vase.
Okay, as you reach out to open the vase, Fig, you are inside the library, and this library that you suddenly have an intimate knowledge with the entirety of this library. What are you doing as you're looking around and this knowledge suddenly floods into your mind?
I think it takes a long moment, a long time for Fig to finally speak, as he's just kind of absorbing and almost relishing in this knowledge, this newfound knowledge. And then he just says in a very quiet voice, "Is this where you have been this whole time?"
You see the beginnings of a smile form at the corners of his mouth, which seems odd for a figure made of metal that seems to move almost organically. I've been here for as long as you've remembered this space. It took until today for you to come here, for you to come home, for you to remember where you come from. There's a rustling and shifting up above you. a brilliant light begins to spill down from above this vast library, as for a moment rays of emerald light cascade down from the ceiling high above. Eve, you look down into this vase as you open it, and you can't quite fathom what you're seeing, as you appear to be looking down into a vast library of impossible size. Each of you, we'll start with Phalos and Asclepios. As you're standing on the edge of this machine, this room of gears and cogs, you hear the gears and cogs start to rattle and shake, and you hear this sort of whining sound, and then a gear breaks loose from its mount, shoots across the room right in front of you, crashes into another gear, causing it to grind to a halt. Cogs begin to shatter and break, and one large gear cog across the room suddenly vibrates loose and comes spinning horizontally right at the two of you. As you bring up your arms and sort of reflectively shield yourself, nothing happens. Bark, you and Bait, your owl bear, are just sort of keeping an eye out. And you're looking left and right, and you're seeing where everybody is. And Jin is sort of standing next to you, keeping an eye, looking in that other room where that large cog is spinning. And you both sort of, as you're looking around, you look at each other. And then you look back to where you had just looked, and everything is different. And Eve, as you're looking at this vast library, there's a shift in your perspective as you're looking around, taking it in. And you look at your hand, and you're holding the lid of this emerald vase. But when you look around, you're not in this 20-foot diameter circular room. You're in this vast library. Next to you is Jin, Bark, Bait. Asclepio and Phalos, for some reason, seem to be going like somebody just took a swing at them. And as you drop your guard, you look around and you see all of your companions around here, but you see that you are not alone. You see Fig standing next to another figure that looks an awful lot like Fig does, with a slightly different head, and a third figure that emerges from behind this first figure. And it's the first you see them step into view as well, Fig, as figure 3, Archimedes, steps into view. As you're all looking around at each other, Archimedes walks right up to you, Fig, looks from you to Copernicus, and says, I don't care who does it, but somebody needs to explain to me what in the 9 hells is going on. And that's where we're going to end this session. That is session 3 of the Adamantine Fortress. Things have just gotten weird. And we are going to pick this up with what I am now certain, what I was certain was only going to be 3 sessions, will be one final session in the Adamantine Fortress in the new year. And then we'll see how that sort of plays out and what happens with that. And then we are going to, it's hard to say exactly how it's going to happen, but it's going to close out the arc for the Adamantine Fortress and move us back into the Dawnbringers arc. And we'll see what what happens with that based on what Fig learns here and where everybody else is back on the other side. And looks like we just picked up a couple more domain dice, or no, one more domain dice, as D Jordan, thank you, has gifted a sub to Joey P. So fantastic. I hope you all enjoyed that. I know these last few sessions, this arc is completely different. We're playing different characters, but I think it's incredibly important for Fig learning a little bit more about himself and what his purpose is, especially in light of that penultimate episode of the Heart of the Nightfang Spire, where everybody saw those visions and saw how they were being manipulated over the course of 100 years by the Lady Vantage. And one of the things that was mentioned as referenced to Gerithan and his mission was that Fig needed to be where he was to find out his true purpose. And we just might find out what that is in the new year. We do plan to return on January 7th. We're taking, for the most part, Mini Terrain Domain will be off, pretty much offline the entire time. I might slip a couple streams in there. We just last night did a preview build of a new forthcoming product from WizKids. With you can check my social media on @MTD_Jake on Twitter to see the pictures I shared. There's a VOD here on Twitch, and we'll be posting that on YouTube. We've got some more goodies to share and some other reviews, product reviews, RPG stuff we're going to be doing. And there's going to be some stuff happening over on Big Bearded Nerd 21. Make sure you're following that. We've got our Mecha Hack game on Saturday, which is our Christmas Mecha Hack Mexpendables game. And Dwight and I have sort of soft launched our Sunday morning podcast, the Big Bearded Nerdcast, where we record our main content for what will be a actual released podcast. But you are welcome to grab your coffee and join us at 9 a.m. Eastern on Sunday mornings for that. Tomorrow night will be the Curse of Strahd game. I believe they are still planning to do that tomorrow night as well at 10 p.m. Eastern. And I don't know if that's the last one, but in the new year, Cole's acknowledging that yes, they will be doing Cole's acknowledging that they are doing the game tomorrow. But I'm thinking it might be the last one. And then Curse of Strahd will be moving to CFT RPG. It is indeed the last one. We'll be moving to CFT RPG's Twitch channel. Alan is going to take it over to his own channel, and we wish him well. But we've got lots of exciting new content coming starting in January on the 8th. No. Yeah, the 8th, I believe, that first Friday. Lloyd Collins is going to be leading off our first Friday night takeover, running a game of Iskloft, his Vikings 5e system that he has built, or his setting that he has designed and published. And then every Friday through January and February, we're going to have different guest GMs coming, including our own M. We'll be running something. Connor is going to be running something. Karen Mythengears will be running something. Matt Click is signed on to run. I've got Marquise Hardis is running his scavenger setting. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody, but we've got a total of 8 GMs filling in those spaces. And stay tuned, because we've got other new and exciting D&D shows coming to Mini Terrain Domain in the new year, plus new content coming to Big Bearded Nerd 21. So tune in for all of that awesomeness. I just want to say, before we sign off for the year for Dawnbringers, first off, thank you to everybody in chat. It's just so awesome seeing everybody come hang out with us every week, and the way you all support us in what we do, just playing this game, and you just want to spend your Thursdays hanging out with us. We truly appreciate that. And so from Mini Terrain Domain and from myself and the Dawnbringers, we wish you a warm holidays, or however you choose to celebrate or not celebrate the coming weeks. We just hope that you find your own peace and enjoy that time during the break. And we hope to see you in other chats if we pop in with other stuff. And I just want to say a very special thank you to all of my players. I know I jokingly say that without them, it would be me talking to myself for 3 hours, but though Scotty no longer plays with us and Zach wasn't able to be here tonight, but I do appreciate them, and I do appreciate you, Dan and V and M and Ted and Jeremy, that all of you have chosen to spend your Thursday nights. For some of you, for the last 2 years, for some of you, slightly less than that, but that I just love that we get to spend our Thursdays together, telling this incredible story that we're all telling together. Um, yeah, we're using bits and pieces of published modules, but this is so much more than that. This game has just become this entity unto its own, and I just love every aspect of it, and I love getting that we all get to share in that together. And so before we go, I would just like to give you all the chance. We don't normally do sign-offs, but just take a minute if you want to promote something, or if you just want to say something to the audience or whatever. We'll just go around the horn before we sign off here, and we'll start with you, Dan.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a whole heck of a lot to promote. Check out Tasha's Cauldron of Everything if you hadn't. There's a lot of cool stuff in there that I poured about a year's worth of life into, so I hope you enjoy it. But thank you so much for hanging out with us and watching us do ridiculous things in D&D. It means a lot, and it wouldn't mean quite nearly as much without all you there to share it with us. So thank you, and have a great holiday.
V.
It's been a wonderful experience being able to share the Dawnbringers with you all for many years now. And obviously, you can find me here on Mini Train Domain. You can also find me over on WizKids YouTube channel every Wednesday for Mini Mayhem, where I'm doing a plethora of things with miniatures. Shocker. And I think my closing message for everyone for 2020 is something I always like to use for my own, and that is be good to yourselves and be good to each other.
M.
I just wanted to say that 2020 has been an adventure. It's been some very, there have been some very good things to come out of it and some not so good things, but I think it's important to recognize that, maybe a few good things did come of it. I'm always so thankful to be able to get together and play some imagination with some people who have become very, very good and caring friends. And I look forward to doing the same in 2021. And yeah, just thank you for being there, and happy holidays to everyone.
I just want to say, I just think it's awesome that M has been a mainstay on Mini Terrain Domain since I started the channel. M was a part of our first stream, Jolt of Personality. We ran the entirety of Tomb of Annihilation together over 3 years. And M is the one person in the entirety of our community, and I think even including my own home games, that I have played more D&D and role-playing games with than any other person, I think. Because we have played on each other's channels for the last three or 4 years, in a variety of one-shots and game. I mean, M, you're in 3 streams, 4 regular streams on the channel with the Mythos Investigators, and 3 of which are weekly or bi-weekly. I guess one of them's not an MTD. We play together on the Dice on Ice on alternate Tuesdays for the Curse of Strahd game that we've been playing in for over a year on that channel. So I'd be remiss if I didn't bring that up. And then Ted, my friend.
So if you enjoy watching games over here, there's the Nerdarchy live channel that you can check out. We got a weekly game on Tuesdays with some slowly revolving GMs. Definitely a lot of fun stuff there. As for all of you in the chat, as everyone else says, thank you for coming in, spending your time here. Jake, I thank you for bringing all of these wonderful people together. This is kind of become like an extra family for me. I look forward to all of the stress and stress relief that your preparation has brought us. It's something I'm always looking forward to, and looking forward to seeing everybody here. So it's a great pleasure.
And in the new year, you'll be able to see me and V on one Friday a month, along with Ace and Megan and Frag in our awesome Nerdarchy continuing Chaos Crew campaign as we start a brand new one. And finally, but certainly not the most least of which, in fact, one of the most incredible GMs and world builders that I know, Jeremy.
Thank you, Jake. That's huge, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, gaming is a very, very special part of my life, and it has been for a really long time. I've been incredibly fortunate to have a home group for the last 20 years or so that we meet on a weekly basis at my house, or at least before COVID we did. And finding online gaming was amazing. It changed my life. It gave me a second outlet to be able to play D&D and other role-playing games in a different way. And especially during this year, I couldn't put a price tag on what it has meant to me to be able to still socialize this way. So yeah, it's fantastic. And thank you, Jake, for allowing us to experience that through such a wonderful game. With this group that you put together here. All of you are fantastic people, and I feel seriously honored and privileged to be able to sit down with you guys every single week and play. So thank all of you for that. As far as anything that I have going on, I do have a YouTube channel where I do all of my own live streaming. It's called the Erasmus Expeditions. This coming Sunday, I have episode 20 of an ongoing Arthurian-themed D&D game that I've been running on the channel called Beneath the Banner's Shadow. This should be a very exciting session. And Monday, I'm running a Victoriana Christmas ghost story game that is going to be using a system called 10 Candles, which is used for running horror games. So I'm very excited about that. Yeah, and then in the future, maybe, possibly, you might see me DMing somewhere else. But yeah, everybody, I hope that you have a safe and happy holiday, honestly. We all need it. And when you're out doing your shopping, when you're out interacting with other people, even though it's been a year, just be nice to each other. Like, it's not hard to do. It's free. Just be kind.
Your Christmas sneak peek is, since Jeremy kind of hinted at it, there's a good chance, like a better than average chance, that you will find Jeremy running a game here on Mini Terrain Domain in the new year for a limited series. So stay tuned for more details on that. And before we go, we have to give our appreciation and our thanks once again to our amazing behind the scenes producer, saving my bacon once again as my internet craps out. Old man Dwight, who I keep making stay up late on Thursday nights to produce us. Right? Dwight, we really do. We all greatly appreciate that you've stepped in at the last minute in the previous weeks, and that you were kind of prepared for it this week and up the production to just help us to be able to keep this game going and ease my frustrations. I greatly appreciate you and all that you do with the channel. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it in front of everybody. So thank you once again, Dwight.
One last thing I forgot to mention that actually some people might be interested in, if you don't mind, Jake.
Sure.
Tomorrow on the Stranger Things YouTube channel,
Yes.
Chris Perkins is going to be running D&D for 4 of the cast of Stranger Things. So there's going to be Ravenlofty Christmas special that is gonna is gonna go out tomorrow on the Stranger Things YouTube channel, which I didn't know existed. So that is something I'm definitely going to be checking out. And
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah,
for it.
David
into that, you should
Harbour
too.
and
Yep.
Finn Wolfhard, and then I forget his name, Gayton, Dustin from the show, and then the girl that plays Nancy, the woman that plays
Yep.
Nancy,
Natalia Dyer.
Yeah, thank you.
And Gayton Matarazzo.
Yes, and yes, with the incredible Chris Perkins, who I have the honor to say has been who has DM'd a game on this channel in the past for Jasper's Game Day. Chris Perkins is just an incredible force. You won't want to miss that. That's going to be a really cool thing to see. And who knows, you may even hear Dwight and I talking about it in a future Big Bearded Nerdcast. So with that, we are going to go ahead and we are going to end this stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want for the last time in 2020.
Ho, 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 Mitchadamus!